We have tremendous respect for the idea of Prime Minister Modi. India is our natural partner and ally for decades. We are building nuclear power plants in India. We're not simply selling to India. We're not simply selling our armaments, but we're developing weapon systems together. Drama system is very well known.
You have met Prime Minister Modi several times in the last few months. Prime Minister Modi at one point of time mentioned to you that this should not be an era of wars. How do you see that statement? How do you interpret that statement? What is the meaning of that statement for you? That's one. Secondly, if you could also tell us, in this concept of Eurasian security, what role do you see for India? And thirdly, in this changed geopolitical environment, and you also mentioned about the importance of civilizations, civilizational values, Russia being a civilization state, India being a civilization state. What are the areas in which, new areas in which India and Russia can work together?
India is our natural partner and ally for decades. It has been so for decades, and I think everyone knows fully well what kind of role was played by the Soviet Union and Russia in India acquiring its independence, the way we supported the Indian nation for decades. Throughout that time, we've built a unique, in its quality and level of trust relations with the Indian nation, and I can say directly, in this case, and the way we feel and the way we understand coming from our Indian friends, there is an overall national consensus about the development of relations with Russia, with our country. And using this basis, we're developing our relations with India in all dimensions. That applies to the economy. It's showing good growth rate in different dimensions as well. For example, in energy, we are prepared, besides oil supply, and the supply has increased manifold to the Indian market. But we can talk about possible LNG supply. We're working in nuclear energy very actively. We're building nuclear power plants in India. We have tremendous respect for the idea of Prime Minister Modi. Make in India, his call to make in India, and we're prepared to invest in that. Take energy, for example. One of the largest foreign investments of $20 billion is the Russian investment. We're prepared to increase it in the same vein. Naturally, now we need to think about new technologies, and we're prepared to do that. At the last meeting, His Excellency Prime Minister noted that Indian producers of agri-produce tremendously need a greater increase in fertilizers. We have done that, and we are prepared to increase our supply. I mean the needs of Indian agricultural sector. There are other needs as well. India is a great country, the largest in terms of population, 1.5 billion people, additional growth of 10 million per year. It is growing very quickly. It is leading in economic growth among major economies, 7.4% GDP growth per year, I think. And India is one of those countries whose growth will be greater than even well-developing countries of today. Therefore, our vision of what and how and in what spheres and at what speed of development in our relations, it is all proceeding from the reality of today. And the reality is that our cooperation is increasing manifold. Maybe our trade is not as high as with China, but it's almost $60 billion at 58 and something. And it's increasing every year. This year, over the past 9 months of this year, we see the same trend. As for solving most acute crises, we are very thankful and we have great respect for the ideas of His Excellency Prime Minister Modi. He expresses his concerns about conflicts in Ukraine as well, and he proposes his ideas how to settle the conflicts. Naturally, we keep abreast of these proposals, and naturally we're not only thankful to His Excellency for his attention to these issues and for his proposals as well, for the fact what he's doing in this regard. In general, I think that our relations with India, we're developing at a high rate, and we have every reason to believe that using the groundwork that we have laid before will show even greater rate of development than today. Incidentally, and it is traditionally known that we have good relations in security and military and technical cooperation. Look at how much Russian equipment is in Indian Army. We have high level of trust in this sphere. We're not simply selling to India. We're not simply selling our armaments, but we're developing weapon systems together. Brahmos system is very well known. We have made it that could be used in 3 spheres, in sea, in air, and on land. Everyone knows that fully well. There are no questions there, and it causes no irritation, but it testifies to the high level of trust and cooperation. Will continue in the same vein, and I hope that will be in the near future and in the far future as well.